on, sort of we're talking a lot about how individuals are learning. I think our institutions are also evolving in really interesting ways, right? So we've talked about this in my marketing class, the early predictions about the internet, where that brand would become completely irrelevant, right? And you could argue that actually by separating the consumer from the retailer, brand has become that things like quality, things like privacy, things like security have become more important, and the brand has actually become more important as a support to those things. And the Amazon example is a classic.
Well, in terms of that, I'm not sure what your mind in the companies that don't get it. I was in I think a 3-month dispute with United Airlines that they weren't crediting my flight to wherever. And I finally wrote a note that said, okay, you have 5 days to figure this out because you've had all this information. Otherwise, you will get a repeat of the 1200 guitar story. And you know what? In an hour, somebody sent me back and said, we're going to look at this, please hold off. And then in 5 days, they resolved it. So you can use those scare stories as leverage if you want. If you find somebody who's savvy enough, I might have hit the right person and say, guitar story, what are you talking about?
And everybody knows what the United guitar story is, right? About the gentleman who saw United actually take his guitar off the plane and smash it into pieces. He wrote a song, got put up on YouTube. It had something like, I don't know, 3 million views, something ridiculous like that. And
hard to believe that any airline stock could go lower than it did, but it dropped. And then he said everything's fine, and then they lost his luggage.
Yeah. Well, they didn't even pay for a guitar, and he wrote another song saying, why didn't you even pay for my guitar? And that got another 5 million views or something like that. So they had a PR crisis.
All right, we had a comment on.
Yep.
Oh, I just had back to the whole Facebook thing. So Facebook knowing that having your birth year is a potentially huge security breach, why would they just not have that anymore? I mean, that's not pertinent to sharing information. Like, I understand things that might be questionable, but if that's such an important aspect to stealing somebody's identity, why would you just leave it off your, because it's not a required, you can choose not to do it, but it's there as the list of questions as you go down. So to me, that's a corporate responsibility of doing something to better humankind when you knowingly that's a huge breach of privacy and security.
Yeah, certainly they know or should know it, so they're charged with the knowledge. Sure.
But it's a source of revenue for them. That's just, I get stuff like, okay, you're over 35, you're going to lose that baby fat you had one after you had your children. That's what I get on Facebook. I mean, it's just blood it is. That's how they use it. So, I mean, we cannot blame them for having that information out there, even though it's not required. That's how they're trying to make money with the segmentation of otherwise it doesn't exist.
Yeah, I mean, they're not making you fill it out. I mean, they don't require users to add their birth date.
Aren't they to some degree, because isn't there an age restriction too, right? You have to be a certain age in order to enter Facebook, so no matter what, they're going to have to collect something on you.
Right.
But they could just have a box that says, are you older than whatever? But who cares? I mean, but like, I mean, they're not requiring people to fill it in. I don't think they have any corporate responsibility to encourage you to take information off their site.
Legally.
No, legally, ethically, from any perspective. I don't understand, like, what's the requirement to take that off? Like, why would they be required to do that?
You can work backwards from the information, too. You can take, like, you graduated from college and kind of work backwards and get the same information.
I don't know. I was just told that your birth year is critically important. So less about the day and the month, but your birth year you don't want to share with anybody. And so to me, if it's such critically important, and maybe this person had over-exaggerated it, I don't do it. I had told people that I know who I see every time I see it to take it off. And because to deal with a stolen identity is a huge deal. And I don't mind them collecting it as you sign up, but to publish information that is knowingly used, that's like asking for a social security number that years ago was asked everywhere, anywhere you went was asked. Now it's known to steal identity. It's not asked unless it's critically important for medical information. And then they're asking you something else anyway. So that was, my point is if it's knowingly an issue, where do you draw the line?
And the scary thing, of course, is that if you talk about an organization you have a number of employees who have access to that information. And you only need one who is either dishonest or disgruntled, and you've got the problem. Sorry, Tim.
No, I was just, works well. Think back to when you wrote checks, right? You went to the store, you wrote a check, you had to write your driver's license number and your social security number and your phone number on the check.
How scary is that?
Right, on a piece of paper that somebody put into a drawer that changed hands how many times? Right? And so it goes back to the point earlier. The access has always been there. This is the first time really that it's immediate. You know, and I think going back to the beginning, if you look back on those that are going to be the best and those that are going to go long term are going to be the ones that go mobile and go mobile well. Right? To your point, everyone has an iPhone. Or I have a BlackBerry, right? I don't have an iPhone, but I have a BlackBerry.
I'm sorry about that.
Soon.
Well, when AT&T becomes a good phone service, I'll get one. But you know, I talked to my cousin and it's like, call me, you know, yeah, blah blah. Oh, for the last 3 minutes he hasn't been on the phone. He's got AT&T. I have Verizon.
Either that or he hung up and he used that as an excuse.
Yeah, right. Well, could be that. But you know, that's the difference. Is, you know, it's immediate and it's to the point of where are you accessing that information, and so. Those that want to do harm are going to do it, right? And it becomes your comfort level of putting that information out there. And so, but again, coming back to a level of trust, I mean, we don't want people not to trust anybody in the sites, and Amazon has obviously built their brand on their willingness to commit to that, right? And commit to the security for the folks who use it.
Great. We had some questions over here. Vikram?
Yeah, I had a comment on the year of birth thing. So the thing is that you know, first thing, I don't want them to police the information that I'm putting out there. Like Apple's recently been policing all the apps that I can have. They pull them up, they put them back. So I don't really want them controlling what I can or cannot put. And secondly, it's only unsafe to put your year of birth if you're born in the US and there's a small chance that somebody can look at the birth death register and then find out the social security number. There's just some research that has been published and there is a small chance. So for that, I don't want them to police everybody's Facebook and not allow me to put in my year of birth. So.
And I mean, I was going to add to that, like Facebook does, you can choose not to display it. So it's sort of your decision if you want to display it or not. So Facebook really shouldn't be responsible for that.
Right.
Well, the other thing is that just back to education, and it may well be your point too. I always thought of Facebook being just Facebook, and only when I got into their terms of use, when I was asking them to take something off for a client and this, and they were very good. Generally speaking, all of those sites are good. But I hadn't realized, I bet you for 2 years, that if I dug a little harder, I can filter Facebook so I can really limit. And I felt dumb 2 years afterwards that I could actually strata or strategize information and keep it at various levels of non-intrusion, for lack of a better term.
Yes,
and my question is related to Google. So when Google started off, it came up with cool services like Gmail, it came up with Google Profile. So with every application they come up with, they're taking your personal data. So now with applications like Latitude, Location, they know where you're going. With applications like Google Health, they know what your personal health records are. So with every application they come out with, they're taking your personal data. And so I feel that one day they're going to be a national database, not just for US, but for the world completely. So what do you feel about that? Because I mean, so much of data of each and every individual is going into Google database. So what is their role in basically handling all this data? And though they have these privacy notifications that say in privacy laws that you may not share your data, but you never know what happens one day. So just want to know your views on this.
So I think we're in one of the most profound battles on the web today, which is the battle for identity. And I don't think it's necessarily just Google that's in that battle. It's Facebook with Facebook Connect, and it's open standards like OpenID that are part of that battle as well. Personally, I really hope that OpenID, OAuth, and all of the open standards built under the sort of lowercase, not meaning the brand data portability, but the sort of data portability in the sort of holistic sense. I hope those end up working out. Realistically, I run a website that needs to authenticate people, or gives people the option to authenticate themselves when they make a comment. And you know, the Twitter integration and the Facebook Connect integration are far better than the OpenID integration. So, you know,
and they would like to keep it that way.
and they're hiring all of the really good people from the open movement to come work there, right?